They say the words, "I'm sorry." They look apologetic. They might even seem sincere, but after the apology, nothing changes. You don't feel better. The behavior repeats. And somehow, you end up feeling like you're the problem for not accepting their apology. Here's what psychology reveals. Not all apologies are actually apologies. Some are manipulation disguised as accountability. Some are deflection disguised as remorse. Here are 5 types of apologies that aren't really apologies at all. First, the "I'm sorry, but" apology. The moment you hear "but" after "I'm sorry," everything before it gets erased, and what follows is the real message, which is always blame, justification, or excuse. Psychologist Dr. Harriet Lerner, who wrote extensively on apologies, identifies this as the most common non-apology. The "but" completely negates the apology because it shifts responsibility away from the person apologizing. Here's what this sounds like. "I'm sorry I yelled, but you weren't listening. I'm sorry I was late, but traffic was terrible. I'm sorry I hurt you, but you're too sensitive. I'm sorry, but if you hadn't done X, I wouldn't have done Y." Notice the pattern. They're not actually sorry for their behavior. They're sorry you're upset, and they're explaining why their behavior was justified, necessary, or your fault. Dr. John Gottman's research on relationships shows that "but" in apologies is a predictor of relationship failure because it demonstrates an unwillingness to take responsibility. Second, the "I'm sorry you feel" apology. This is when someone apologizes for your feelings rather than for their actions. "I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry you're upset. I'm sorry that hurt your feelings." Psychologist Dr. Guy Winch identifies this as the non-apology apology, apologizing for the impact while completely avoiding responsibility for the cause. Here's why this is manipulation. They're expressing regret that you have feelings about their behavior, but they're not acknowledging that their behavior was wrong. It's a subtle but crucial distinction. A real apology addresses what they did. "I'm sorry I lied to you." A fake apology addresses how you responded. "I'm sorry you're upset that I lied." One takes responsibility. The other implies your feelings are the problem, not their actions. Dr. Lundy Bancroft's research on accountability shows that "I'm sorry you feel" language is common in abusive relationships because it maintains the fiction of apologizing while denying wrongdoing. Third, the vague, non-specific apology. "I'm sorry for everything." "I'm sorry if I did anything wrong." "I'm sorry things got out of hand." Notice what's missing: any acknowledgement of what specifically they did wrong. Psychologist Dr. Beth Hedva identifies this as the avoidance apology, using apologetic language while avoiding accountability for specific harmful actions. Here's the pattern. They say sorry, but they won't name what they're sorry for. This accomplishes 2 things. It looks like they're taking responsibility, but because they haven't identified specific wrongdoing, they don't actually have to change anything. Dr. Janice Abrams. Spring's research on trust and betrayal shows that vague apologies are worthless for repair because they demonstrate the person either doesn't understand what they did wrong or knows but won't acknowledge it. What makes this particularly insidious is that if you press for specifics, what exactly are you apologizing for? They often get defensive. "I said I'm sorry. What more do you want?" But you're not being difficult by asking for clarity. You're asking them to demonstrate they understand what they did and why it was harmful. Research shows that real apologies require specificity because naming the harm demonstrates understanding. "I'm sorry I shared your private information with others without permission. That was a violation of your trust." That's specific. That shows understanding. "I'm sorry for whatever I did" is generic enough to be meaningless. It's an apology-shaped statement that requires nothing of them and changes nothing. And accepting it means accepting that they either don't know or won't acknowledge what they did wrong, which means they'll do it again. Fourth, the defensive apology. This is when the apology comes with anger, resentment, or hostility. "Fine, I'm sorry." "I'm sorry, okay? I said I'm sorry. What else do you want from me?" Psychologist Dr. Harriet Lerner calls this the "I'm only doing this to get you off my back" apology. It's not remorse. It's irritation that they have to apologize at all. Here's what's happening psychologically. They don't actually believe they did anything wrong. They think you're overreacting, but they've learned that saying "I'm sorry" makes problems go away, so they say it, but with such obvious resentment that it's clear they don't mean it. Dr. John Gottman's research on contempt in relationships shows that defensive apologies often contain contempt. The person is communicating that your need for an apology is ridiculous, that you're demanding, that they're humoring your unreasonable expectations. Fifth, the blame-shifting apology. "I'm sorry, but this wouldn't have happened if you hadn't." "I'm sorry I reacted that way, but you pushed me to it." "I wouldn't have done X if you hadn't done Y first." Psychologist Dr. George Simon identifies this as the reversal. They apologize for their behavior while making you responsible for causing it. Here's the manipulation pattern. They take nominal responsibility. "I'm sorry I did X," but then immediately shift actual responsibility to you because you did Y. The message is, "Yes, I did the harmful thing, but I was forced to do it by your behavior. I'm the one apologizing, but you're the one who caused this." Dr. Lundy Bancroft's research on abusive patterns shows this is a hallmark of people who refuse genuine accountability. They'll use apology language while maintaining that they're actually the victim. What makes this particularly damaging is the role reversal. You came seeking accountability for harm done to you, and you end up being positioned as the perpetrator who caused their behavior. Research shows this is crazy making because the normal rules of accountability get inverted. Somehow in a conversation where they hurt you, you end up being the bad guy. And if you accept this apology, you're accepting responsibility for their choices. You're agreeing that you made them do what they did. Dr. Patricia Evans's research on verbal abuse shows that blame-shifting apologies are a form of manipulation where the person maintains control by keeping you in the wrong, even when they're supposedly admitting wrongdoing. A real apology says, "I chose to do this. That was wrong. I'm responsible." A blame-shifting apology says, "I did this because you made me. If you want me to stop, you need to change." You're not getting an apology. You're getting a list of demands disguised as accountability. So when someone apologizes, listen carefully. Are they taking responsibility or transferring blame? Are they naming what they did or just expressing regret that you're upset? Are they apologizing to end the conversation or to genuinely repair? Because you deserve real apologies, and fake ones do more damage than no apology at all. Don't accept cheap substitutes for genuine accountability. Your hurt deserves real remorse, not manipulation disguised as sorry.